Hey, what's going on, you guys? In this podcast, we're gonna have a nice little good topic here. Now, I've touched on this in a TikTok video on my TikTok. Follow me on TikTok, by the way. It's Kyle Ashwin. I'll leave the link to it in the description. And follow my main channel, Kyle Ashwin, because I know I have some subscribers on here that don't have my main channel or that's unaware of other things that I do. So, if you want to, follow my content in other places, I'll start leaving links in the description. You know what I mean? But let's just get right into the video. So, ways to stretch out your weed. Now, this is like a very wide topic. Now, it really depends how much you buy and how much you smoke and how high your tolerance is. If you have a super high tolerance, you might as well just start buying higher quality, because when you keep buying like lower quality, you're just going to just sit there and smoke so much bud and just get very little high, So you might as well just invest in just very, very higher quality stuff. Like if you live in a legal state, definitely I would start going on to much more higher end bud, like one of those top shelf eights. They're very expensive, but they actually, like, you smoke less and you get very high at a very less amount of rips. Or you can just move on to dabs. If you have a super high tolerance, move on to dabs if you live in a legal state. Because I remember when I was in California and I started trying dabs, I was getting high within like 4 hits, and I'm like, damn, that's all I need, because I remember bong rips, I would need way more than that, even though I always love taking bong rips, I always have love for flower. But if you it doesn't matter how high your tolerance is for flower, dabs will get you high, And or if you live in a legal state, you can start buying edibles. But the problem about edibles in a dispensary, like the much more lower end, they're all like 100 milligrams maximum. And if you want to buy like 1,000 milligram edible, you have to pay like 75 at least, for one. But if you really want to I'm thinking about next time I go to LA, I'm thinking about trying something like that where I just buy like 1,000 milligram edible and try to see how much I can do in one day. But that's a different topic. So, that's another thing you could do as to, try to, make the most out of your money and stuff like that. But now let's just go right into stretching out bud in general. Now, let's say you live in an illegal state, or if you just live in a regular state like me where it's legal, but they don't have dispensaries yet, and you're just buying from a plug. Honestly, dude, just if you can afford it, just buy like a whole ounce. Because the more you buy, the cheaper the eighths tend to be. For example, if you buy an eighth every single day, like, hold on, I'm going to put a calculator right on here on Google because I'm too lazy to calculate in my head. You feel me? You know what I mean? Calculator. All right, so let's say you smoke every day for 7 days a week and you spend $30 times 7 on the eighth. You're spending about $210 a week just buying eighths. Plus you gotta hit the plug every day, and plus you gotta get out of your house, got do the hassle of waiting for the plug and bothering him every day, and let's calculate that times that by a month. You're spending $840 a month just on eighths, just buying an eighth every day. Now, let's say you buy an ounce a week, which is going to be way cheaper. An ounce in my state where I live is like 180, and let's say we're just going to differentiate, So remember, the eighths for $840. Now we're calculating by ounces. Let's say you buy an ounce a week and if you're buying 4 ounces in a month, because that's like, let's say you buy one every single week. You're paying about $720. That's $720 a month. Wow, it's expensive, but still way better than $840. Let's just differentiate. $840 minus $720. That's You're saving about $120. So that's a good amount of money that you're saving right there, and you can save that extra $120. So. That's start buying ounces. That's my biggest tip of trying to stretch out your weed is buy more in quantity. Obviously you want some good stuff. If you got to pay $200 an ounce, then yeah, at least you're getting some good shit, And once you get your ounce, try very hard to stay away from rolling joints and blunts. It's very hard and tempting as a stoner when you have a lot of bud in front of you and you're like, man, I want to, roll up a nice fat ass joint or blunt, I tend to do that too. And I still kind of do it nowadays when I have like extra bud, or if the plug decided to bless it, I'll be like, all right, bet. If I want to roll a joint extremely badly, I'll just use the extra bud I have to roll a joint, and then just use that exact amount to just only use it for bowls and blunts, right? I mean, not blunts, bowls and bongs, And, what I mean? Like, yeah, that's another tip I wanted to give you, is just stay away from rolling joints and blunts. And another thing, invest in a bong. Invest in a nice bowl or bong, or, any type of glass piece you can buy. I know a whole bunch of viewers on here might be the underage of 21, so it might be a little bit harder to get your hands on something like that, unless you go to a smoke shop that does an ID, or unless you're lucky enough to find someone to buy it for you. It could be way more harder. So I kind of now I'm starting to understand why much more teenagers, or much more people in general, prefer like joints and blunts over bowls and bongs, because they're underage, and it's kind of hard to buy one. And I mean, but if you're traveling, I would say just get a bowl, because if you're always on the go, you always got to hide. Just get a bowl, it's easy to hide, and it's a much easiest way to stretch out your bud, get a bowl or bong, most cheapest way to bowl, So that's another tip, what else tips I want to give you guys before, I let you guys go, because I don't want to leave anything out, Or, I mean, you can start cooking your own edibles, because edibles are another thing, like I mentioned edibles earlier. If you live in a legal state, you can get some from the dispo. You can start making your own edibles if you have the money. I would highly recommend get the Level machine. I even have a discount code, I'm even sponsored. I'm even sponsored by them, but this podcast is not sponsored, but, on my TikTok, I'm sponsored, but, I'll still leave my discount code in case you guys want to buy it. It's like 10% off, but it's like $300, but it's so worth it, because it makes butter for you. You can make like edibles if you want at home. That's another thing. Has because let's say you buy an ounce. You can use like a first quarter or like the first half of that ounce for edibles, where you can just get super high on edibles on some days that you don't want to smoke, or on the days that you don't have that much time to smoke. Because that's how I look at edibles. Like, I look at edibles as like, all right, it's like most convenient way to get high, as if I have no time to just sit down and roll a blunt, right? So, or as another way to stretch out my bud. Now, the very last tip, this is when I'm super desperate. And you can scrape off old resin from your bowl. It's not going to taste very well. You can scrape old resin, or use like one of those old, one of the inside of the Big Pen thingies, and just scrape the resin towards like the bowl part, and just light it and see how much hits you can get. But you gotta use your bowl heavy to get a good amount, right? So always use your bowl. Don't use your bowl for 1 or 2 sessions and expect resin in there. Now, it's not gonna be that much in there at all. So you gotta use it consistently, very consistently, for that to happen. So that's why I emphasize use a bowl or a bong, because you can scrape old resin and maybe make the most of it, But I don't really do it too much nowadays, but I do it if I'm super desperate, or if I'm running out and I'm like, damn, I'm running out, but I gotta wait another day for my guy to come back. You know what I mean? That's what I do. Now, this is only if you're over the age of 21, which probably, I don't really care if you're not, but, you can, get crossfaded, what I do? Some days when I'm running out, I would just get crossfaded. I would just drink a lot of alcohol, not a lot, but, at least 2-3 shots. And I would take a bong rip. And honestly, the bud hits me a little bit harder when I'm drunk, a little bit, and I tend to smoke less when I'm drunk, that's why I kind of like getting drunk, as another way to help me stretch out my bud when I really need it, but that's, I don't do it every day. That's that's a once a week type of thing, once or twice a week type of thing, even though I'm of age, even though I am 21, but yeah. Those are all my tips to stretching out your bud. I hope you guys kind of enjoyed the podcast, and I hope you guys kind of learned something from it. You know what I mean? And yeah, or I forgot to mention, if blunts and joints are the only ways you roll, just, try to save it for every sesh, smoke half a joint and then save the other half a joint for another sesh, Yeah, it's not going to get you as high as a bowl or a bong. That's why I highly emphasize it, but if that's the only way you can roll, or save roaches, like you can't roll filters anymore though, because filters, it's hard to save roaches with filters because some of the bud will tend to fall out. So, start saving roaches, if you can want to. So yeah, that's the last tip I want to give you guys in this podcast. And I hope you guys are having an awesome day. Peace out.